Hello and welcome to Arts and Wellness Wednesdays. It's Amanda. Welcome to my podcast listeners. I'm Amanda, your host. Thank you for joining me. If this is your first time, you will be able to find me on a lot of other platforms. I kind of podcast, I do videos, I do gardening videos, I do a whole load of things that you can join in throughout the week. So this episode, the main feature is about masks. So I've been looking at a range of different masks, and I've been making quite a few, and so I want to talk to you about some of the ones that I've made and how I found them. I think you have to really look at what is suitable for your needs and you know, whether you can make them or not. They're very easy to make, and I will go through each of them and what I found best about that particular design. So before I go through some of the masks, let's look at some other things so that we can maintain some normality for ourselves, because this is Arts and Wellness Wednesdays and it's all about how we can improve our health and well-being. And I was going to say stay safe. I've been saying that a lot. To improve our health and well-being and remind ourselves that creativity should be at the heart of everything we do. Find something, whether it's, you know, visual arts, whether it's dance, whether it's music, whatever it is, find something that you can do on a daily basis, because as far as I'm concerned, the arts, broad and visual arts, is something that you need to do on a daily basis. You have to do something creative. So you can flip between the different strands, or you can, find your own dedicated one. Like for me, I'm an artist, I'm a mixed media artist, so the arts is something that I do, but within the arts I paint, I sculpt, I weave, I work with wood, I sculpt, I do a whole range of things, because it's about expression, and so I use the arts as a way and a form of expressing myself. And so this has an amazing effect on my kind of general mental health, and it also helps me to kind of put balance to things. Or if I'm trying to express something, then I'll use a particular medium. So, and I haven't yet identified what all the different, so if I'm working with sculpture, what is it that I'm thinking, feeling? It's just about, I'm just listening to how I'm feeling and what I feel like doing. So yesterday, I was working with a lot of beads, and I use a lot of beads in my work, and so my bead collection needed tidying up, and so that I spent like a few hours just focusing on that, and I justified it to myself, because I was thinking to myself, you could be doing something else, what are you doing this for? And I thought to myself, well, once this is done, my next project, it's now easy to find my resources. It's just like you have so many different things and they're hidden on a shelf or whatever it is, and then you go out and buy another one because you think you don't have it, and it's when you start looking then you realise, oh gosh, I've got 3 of them. And so for me, the activity of I think I might have to find somewhere else. The sun's beginning to set over in the west, so it's just like it's gonna get lower. Anyway, so the activity of sorting out your supplies is something in itself that can be something that you do, and that also can, it's a therapeutic activity, the clearing, the cleansing, the cleaning down. And it's something I should have done yesterday, because I found all these little ants on my table, but they're everywhere anyway. So what else have I been doing? So I've been doing a lot of work with the textiles, as I said. I've got behind me quite a few jobs that are waiting to be complete. And so I just work through them, and I work to a particular stage, and then I might move on to another one, or I might start something new. Again, it depends how I feel. And then I'll come back, and sometimes I batch work, so I'll just be working, say, with beads in one instance, or my new thing is working with, have I got any here? Working with burlap, and so I separate the strands and use it in some creative projects. I weave with it as well, so I've been doing a lot of weaving projects as well, so there are things to share. I've also been doing, I found some shoes that I've had, so I've been doing the Boro Shishiko method on the shoes. I made some insoles for my shoes, which are really comfortable, yeah, I love them. It took a while. Let me take the other one off. It took a while for me to finish, so for my podcast listeners, I will share with you the image of these shoes. I've done slightly different pattern on the front of the shoes, but the sides and the back are pretty much the same. But that was just it was a really relaxing activity, and I was toying with doing, I've got two others like this. I was toying with doing those, but I just thought, oh, but the insole, oh my days, it's a really lovely material, and so it's got a really lovely feel. It's like stepping onto a cloud. So that's some of the other things that I've been doing. I'm just looking at my list. I've been collaborating with other artists, so obviously, you know, all of us are on lockdown or restricted movements, and so what you do as artists is, you know, even more so important to connect, because if you're not going to you know, if you're not going to galleries or meeting up with other artists, what are you doing? So doing stuff online, I've connected with a few artists, and we just, you know, once we've done a piece of work, we share that. Sometimes there's a theme. I think it was portraits, and so yeah, you know, just sharing what we do, and that's nice, and just kind of keeping a connection going. I've been working with some wood projects. Let me show you. Well, there's nothing to see just yet, but I found this in my garden, and I've been seeing these woven projects. So again, for my podcast listeners, I'm holding up a branch, and it's going to look so nice. The texture on the branch looks like it's like a lattice type of pattern, and so it's going to look really nice when it's varnished. And then what I'm going to do is do some weaving on there, so I'm excited about that. I want to kind of do it now, but and the other thing I might have done with this is some wood burning, but because it's still got the bark on, it's not as easy to do that. Or, well, I haven't even tried with this, but I think what I want to do is just keep it as is. I'm not sure for my video viewers whether you can see well enough, and then just decorate it and do some weaving on it. So yeah, I think what I'll have to do first is varnish it first, let it dry. So this is going to be a few days. It's just like, I want to do it now. So I've been out in the garden chopping some wood because I want to make an arbor. But the wood that I started out originally, it was it was too hard, so I found the Clemmer cherry wood, and I'm hoping that it's easy. It was easy to cut, so I'm hoping that once I put the nails in, it's going to stand the test of time, and I'll be able to put the nails in. I tried doing what I do normally with my miniature sculptural looms, And what I normally do, sorry, let me get one. So I put the 4 pieces of wood together, but I've been using the burlap, and that's been making it really fairly strong, and so it's easy then to keep the structure and then you know, do weaving on it. But I think for the larger pieces of wood you need to kind of attach it with nails. Although I was looking online a couple of days ago, and there are some different ways, like the scouts, to tie the branches together, specific knots that you can use. So I'm going to just try everything really. And I've been reading, so I've been doing some reading, and at the moment I'm reading this book. It's called Creative Paint Workshop for Mixed Media Artists, and it's by Anne Baldwin, and it's actually really interesting the way some of the experiments that she does, combining, you know, different words, paint, different mediums. And she also does some, it says, experimental techniques for composition, layering, texturing, imagery and encaustic. So I've had this for years, and it if you looked at it, it would look as if I'd just literally taken it out of the Amazon box. So I went through a phase of just buying up loads of books, especially the art books, and yeah, so I'm on chapter 6 at the moment, so I'm just going through it, because a lot of the things that she talks about I already do in a lot of my art journals, and it's just really nice to get another artist's take on some of the work. But the encaustic, doing an encaustic painting, I don't necessarily have. I've got some beeswax paint. I did try and look online for more, but I didn't find it. Couldn't find it. And but it's this one, the Carrot by Stadler. It's water-soluble liquid wax, so I'm looking forward to using that, and also some of the beeswax, and just do some layers, and using my heat gun and everything like that. So they're all the kind of arty things that I've been doing, and it's very important that you stay creative, and that's one of the things that I would really encourage you. And where you can connect with other artists, please do, because, you know, this is a shared global experience, and some of us, you know, dependent on, you know, what your circumstances and situations, some may be going through it worse than others, in the sense, you know, whether you're vulnerable, homeless, you know, there's been lots of increased cases of, you know, people who are living in an abusive relationship. There's elder abuse, and there's so many other things going on that I think, you know, when everything happened, it's just like you forget, and it's just like, well, everything's stopped. But it doesn't, you know, crime still goes on, you know, other things still go on. And so, again, continue to keep looking out for one another, so that, you know, we can, you know, keep each other safe in this time, and that we can, you know, move forward and all get through it and come out the other end richer, wholer, richer in the sense of, you know, the things that we've then done because we've had more time together, that we've spent doing something that's a bit, you know, more fulfilling, more enriching, and you know, can impact positively on the life of someone else. Okay, so I'm going to now go through the masks, and I've made 5 different masks, and I'll talk to you about each of the varying styles. And what I'm going to do is maybe just move back slightly so that the sun isn't glaring me right in my face. So come with me for the second part, and we'll talk about the masks. Okay, welcome back. I seem to be surrounded by to-do projects, and never mind. But yeah, so I made, I think it was about about 2 weeks ago I started seeing, you know, these kind of how to make your own masks, and I was thinking to myself, because you know the fact is, you know, there's seems to be a shortage of masks, especially for those people who are working on the frontline services, and I think it's something that we need to be mindful about, and where you can make your own masks, then, you know, go ahead and do that. And there's so many different examples, tutorials of how to make your mask. I'm not going to actually show you me stitching the mask, but talk through the ones that I've made, and I'll show you basically the sizes you need. And again, if you need more clarification, what I want you to do is just remember these points when you're making your mask, because I found that it wasn't until the 5th one that I'd made that I realised I managed to customise it exactly for myself. So I looked at the tutorials, and then it was just like, oh yeah, I want to add this and I want to add that, and you know, but generally speaking, it's really a straightforward thing to make. So I had these, they're kind of like napkins, serviettes, but they're cloth, cotton, and they are very tightly woven. It's cotton. It measures 9 inches by 9 inches square, yeah? So I used 2 of these, and then in the middle I kind of sandwiched it together. So I also used another layer of fabric, and I felt that that was important because, you know, in terms of not having, you know, trying to make it, you know, kind of medically sound, I thought to myself, well, the situations that ordinary humans, for most of us, are going to be in is you're going to be going to the store, or, you know, you're walking past or through areas, you're not kind of, you know, hanging around anywhere, or having to wait on, you know, whether you're, if you're an essential service, then you're going to hopefully have access to better masks. And all of the tutorials get you to, you know, stitch and then add the elastic on the corners. So you add, so if this was the top, you're adding elastic here and here and here and here, and then you're doing 3, you're going to stitch that so that it kind of, there's a concertina type, it's that kind of thing, yeah? So that would be your basic mask. So most of them do that. So for the first mask I made, I saw the lady put in a wire at the top. So this was my first mask that I made. And what I realised was that it didn't fit as well as I thought it would, because down the side you've got a big gap down both sides, and so, you know, I'm not sure that people are going to come up to me and talk to my side or sneeze in my face or whatever, but it was just like, oh, you know, I wanted it to fit slightly better than that. This particular mask, I had only made it with 2 of the pieces of fabric that I had, and so where the lady had wire, I put a piece of elastic to try and close up the gap, because it was after, if you can see, that's the elastic. So as it is, as you know, a quick mask, I think, you know, it's what I could do at the time, what I did at the time, and that was, you know, that's how it turned out. I think the other thing you have to remember is that you don't have to have a sewing machine, so you can do it by hand. Yes, it's going to take slightly longer, but you can do it by hand. You just need needle and thread, the fabric, and the elastic. Yeah, and you just need to make sure that where you put the elastic in, that you go over it several times just to make sure it's secure, because the other thing is you're going to be pulling on this several times, you know, washing it, and so you want to make sure that it's secure and it doesn't then, you know, not unravel, but it's going to disintegrate over time, so you might need to make a few, or get thicker elastic, or you can have 2 tabs here that you tie around. You don't have to have the elastic. Okay, so Mark II, I thought to myself, this was a bit too long. I thought that width was too long, because I guess it's, you know, like just shy of this, the 9 inches, minus where I've, you know, put a seam allowance in. So I made this mask now. Just trying to remember which is the top. I had the same problem. So the wideness here, and I'd made it slightly bigger. I didn't put in the nose bit, but what I did was where you were supposed to just stitch along the side, just sort of like for an inch, I stitched all the way along, because I was like, you know, that's gonna improve the design. What it did, it sits on my mouth so that when you want to talk, you know, obviously you're battling with the fabric, and so that didn't work for me, and also the width, it was so wide here. So then I went on to make this one. I was sitting there, as I'd made the mask, I was sitting there, I made the square first, and then I was thinking, but if I squeeze the edges, then it fits even better, and it gives you room to speak. The cloth isn't pressed up against my mouth. There's a little bit of a gap at the top, but okay, it's a lot better fitting. And it reminded me, because I was watching the news at the time, and I was like, but their masks look like duck bills, you know, so how can I create something similar? This is more like what I saw, you know, the professionals wearing, obviously, in terms of whether it's, you know, in terms of the filter that you add, whether it's like medical grade. And I did use 3 layers in this one as well. So again, it's giving you additional protection. It's not medical grade or anything. You're just using 3 layers of fabric so that, you know, and it depends on the size of the particles that you're breathing in. So, you know, if somebody does sneeze on you, how easy is it to get through those 3 layers? So then it dawned on me that why this worked was the space here. Now, if the space of the original cloth that I started out with is 9 inches, when I measured this, there's a 3-inch, and that fitted so much better on the side of my face. So it is kind of like measuring this area here where the elastic has to go round, and if that bit of the mask is 3 inches, it gives you a closer fit. So then I realised, well, okay, so you start off with 9 inches, but you've got to get down to the sides being 3 inches so that you get a good fit on the side of your face. And so one of the things I did was I started off with a smaller mask. I made it 6 inches rather than the 9 inches, and this is what I came up with. So it worked in terms of fitting closely, but it still needed to be the 9 inches so that it came under your chin, or my chin. Because that gap under there, I don't like. So, number 5. Okay, so this, okay, it's this way. This is my final mask. It's given me the close here by the side of my face. There's no gap. It goes far enough, it touches my neck so that there's no gap there either. I can talk. I normally wear sunglasses or my glasses, so if I had my glasses on, it would press against here, so there's no gap here. And yeah, it took me that long to 5 tries, but now you know the tips that you need to look out for. Make sure that the side of the mask that you're making is narrower by the ear so that it fits well, and that you give yourself enough space. Again, what you may need to do is adjust it dependent on the size of your head, and you know, maybe measure from this point of your ear to here. And but the standard, if you're making a standard one, 9 inches is big enough. And then, yeah, you know, add your elastic, and you can make it to any design, any color that you want. You know, and if you've got a sewing machine, why not see how many you can make? I mean, I've seen a YouTube video where the lady makes 10 at one time, and she just like whizzes through. Within an hour she's made 10. So there's a lot of videos out there where you can, you know, find different ways of making the mask, easy ways, stitching yourself. And again, they follow the same principle where you're stitching along the side, stitching 2 points to make it narrower, and then you know, stitching all around just to keep everything in. But if you just want something simple and easy and straightforward, so that you can like make it for yourselves and your loved ones. And again, then just if you're also practicing things like safe distancing, and you know, only go out when you need to, like here we're now going to be we've been on 24-hour lockdown. The smaller shops were open, and now what they've done is you can go out twice a week just to get essential services for 2 hours or 3 hours each time, and you're only allowed to go on a specific day, so it depends on what your surname is. well, anyway, it's like a 24-hour curfew, so you can only be out between those times, and then you make your list and you come back as soon as possible. Anyway, so I hope that's been useful. Try some of the tutorials. I hope that's been useful. I hope, as I said earlier, that you are doing something creative, that you are doing the things that will feed your spirit, that will keep you going, keep your brain alert, your mind, you're getting exercise and all of that, and you're doing things that can be a blessing. And stay connected with family and friends, ring them, everybody's off now, or most people, so give them a call, see how they are, send them a message, use the methods that you have available to you, and yeah, just stay safe, stay well, stay healthy, and let me know how you get on. And I look forward to seeing you next week. So I hope you can join me, and I'd love to see what you get up to, and I'd love to see if you've made a mask. I'd love to see what you think and how you got on. Okay, take care for now. Bye.